Hey everybody, I'm Robert Yerby, and I'm an insurance professional, and admittedly, kind of an insurance nerd. My friends and family tell me that nobody is going to want to listen to a podcast about insurance. So instead, on this show, I'm hoping to share a story or have a conversation with a guest about some relatable experience, and then show you how insurance impacts that story or topic. My hope is you'll enjoy a few laughs with me and maybe learn at least one interesting thing about insurance along the way. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Robert and it is podcast time. Thanks for listening. I am coming to you today from Panama, just outside of Panama City. It is, as I'm speaking to you, it's December 19th. I'm not exactly sure when this episode will drop, but yeah, I'm in Panama, and I'm not on vacation. I'm working. I'm trying to get a lot of work done, and think of it this way. Remember in Rocky IV, Rocky decides he's going to go train in Russia for the fight that's on Christmas Day in Russia. And I feel like I'm doing something similar, right? I don't have a fight coming up on Christmas Day next week, but I have a lot of work to do, and I've sort of like sequestered myself in this compound outside Panama City, and I've been in this condo for 8 days now. Oh, tamales already. And I've been getting a lot of work done. I really haven't been playing. Since I got here, I haven't gone anywhere except the gym, and I Uber back and forth to the grocery store every few days. And that's it. I'm just getting work done. And yeah, you heard the ding. The tamales are done in the toaster oven. I'm gonna have dinner as soon as I'm done with this, and probably get right back to work. I'm trying to get a bunch done before Christmas, or actually Christmas Eve. Daisha is coming down to join me in Panama on Christmas Eve, and that's going to be a lot of fun. At that point, then I will legitimately take some time off and screw around and go to the Panama Canal, and we'll take a little boat tour out into the bay, and do vacation-y kinds of things. But right now I'm working, and as I am working, I'm still tied a little bit into what's going on in the United States, and I gather there's a lot of anxiety right now about health insurance in the United States, and here's the thing. I teach insurance classes, of course, right? I don't have a class about health insurance. We don't teach it. I don't teach it. And part of that is because I have opinions about health insurance. I have a lot of opinions about health insurance, but I gather that the people that approve insurance classes for continuing education credit, they don't want to hear a lot of opinions in the class. They want you to Joe Friday that class and just give them the facts, which is hard for me because, yeah, that's hard for me. So I just choose not to do it. So, but this is a podcast. It's not approved by the Department of Insurance in any state, and so this is just me talking, right? What's going on back in the United States? Well, at least as of the time that I'm going to record this, those enhanced Obamacare subsidies are scheduled to expire at the end of the year. And, you're probably hearing the same stuff that I'm hearing, on social media or the few news outlets that, I subscribe to. We're talking about millions of people losing coverage. Premiums are going to be unaffordable. And the system's on the brink of collapse. And I want to be clear just from the outset, okay, that concern is real. Those concerns are real. Okay, healthcare is expensive. Illnesses are unpredictable. Accidents are unpredictable. Nobody wants to see people locked out of care because they got sick at the wrong time. Or at least I don't, want to see that. But here's what I think I don't hear enough of in these little snippets that come up on Instagram and Facebook or even I don't watch a lot of news on TV, but when I do, I feel like that they're not actually debating the structure of the system. They're just debating how much more money to dump into it. When I say we, I mean the talking heads on those news programs. I'm talking about our elected representatives in Washington, D.C. They're not actually debating the structure of the system. I don't hear. It's just all about how much money are we going to dump into this. And that's what I wish I would hear more about. Because, if we're just debating, are we going to renew the subsidies or how much should the subsidies be? Subsidies won't fix incentives. They don't fix pricing signals. They don't fix the fact that we keep calling this insurance, but it's not really insurance. Okay? What we have now doesn't function like insurance. Okay? It just feels like this just mandatory prepayment plan or tax. And insurance at its core, it's the exchange of a premium for the transfer of risk of an unknown against things that you really hope won't happen, right? But this modern major medical insurance model assumes everybody's already sick or about to be, and it prices the coverage accordingly. Well, that has consequences. When we're conflating healthcare with health insurance, right, that throws everything off. That has consequences. And I think one of those consequences is that healthy people look at the premiums for the plans that are available on the exchange right now, and they just quietly conclude, no, this is a terrible value, I'm out. And I'm on that list. I'm on that list. I'll give that away. That is exactly what I've done. I'm a healthy 49-year-old man, and I have for the last several years, I can't remember how many years it's been now, I've just concluded to myself, this is a terrible value. And so I don't want this episode to be about denying people care with pre-existing conditions. It's not about believing illness is the sick person's fault. It's not about dismantling a safety net. It's not about that. I really want it to be about asking whether we've forced a couple of very different problems into a single insurance product and then, acted surprised when neither one of these is, solved or solved well. And maybe the solution isn't dumping more subsidies into this broken system. Maybe it's separating this into two different markets. Maybe if we had one system that's built explicitly and transparently and honestly to cover people who need guaranteed comprehensive care because they've got chronic problems, and we fund that through taxes, direct subsidies, and then we have another system, a completely separate system that allows healthy people to buy true insurance, okay? Protection against a new illness or some catastrophic accident, okay? It's priced based on risk, right? It's individually underwritten, okay? Somebody comes out and makes me jump up and down for 30 seconds and takes my heart rate and blood pressure, and they look at my medical records and they're like, yes, that guy is a good risk, okay? He drinks too much Diet Coke, but we're gonna take this guy, and it's gonna be a reasonable premium based on the risk that he is presenting. but it's based on the risk presented. There's choices, there's trade-offs, all this stuff. It's a healthy insurance market. That's what I would like to see explored. And I don't hear enough of that. This should be. This is not some crazy unique idea that I have. I don't think, but I don't hear about it I don't hear people talking about it enough. I think that should be like a serious structural alternative that's talked about. And I'm not running for office. I'm not backing some candidate. I'm a dude that, teaches insurance classes. I'm an insurance agent. I'm just a dude with a microphone today, I guess. But okay, what prompted me to do this? Because I don't really want to do this. I don't want to do like politically charged topics on my cute little insurance podcast. I really don't. I really don't. I don't want it to be controversial. I really don't. But I got worked up today because, somebody in my Facebook or Instagram feed, pops up with her take on, these expiring subsidies and the emergency. And she says, these subsidies will expire and, the most vulnerable will be denied the most basic of healthcare services. And I listened to that or saw that and I was just like, no, they won't. No, they won't. Denied the most basic health care? I mean, that's just not true, okay? When people say denied basic health care, what I think they mean is those people will be denied subsidized comprehensive health insurance. And okay, I mean, that's a concern, yes. But it's different from saying that doctors won't treat you or that care disappears completely. Okay, that would be a much more serious concern. But I assure you that that's not true, okay? I assure you firsthand, basic care is readily available. I would argue more accessible when you're not paying huge insurance premiums each month. Again, I don't choose to purchase health insurance for myself. I'm a healthy 49-year-old man. I don't smoke. I drink less than I used to. And I just think that the premiums that they want is for the coverage that's offered, it's a terrible value. So I say no, thank you. But I've been sick, in the years since I decided it's a terrible value and I don't buy it. I've been sick. Yeah, absolutely. I think I was on a previous podcast episode not that long ago. I came back from Peru and was still horribly sick and had, picked up, a parasite. And I remember sitting on the couch with Daisha and, saying, I think I need to go to the doctor. And she's like, okay, yeah. And, for one reason or another, like I wasn't going to be able to get into my primary care physician. And by the way, I have one of those. I've been able to maintain one of those even without insurance. So I went to an urgent care clinic. And you know what? That stinks. That it was relatively expensive. I'm trying to ballpark the number. What was it? It was $200 and something. And that stinks. That stinks. But I got in to see somebody same day. They took care of it right away. I started feeling better once I was on the medicine. The next day I was feeling better. And it's disingenuous to say that, people are going to be denied care. That's not what happens. I had to pay for it. Okay? I paid for a service. I don't know why that's so crazy. And was $200 and something a lot? Yeah, And I certainly can agree that some people will struggle to have the cash to pay for that or the credit to pay for that. I mean, I get that. I'm realistic about that. But I'll tell you what, if you're not spending $500 a month on insurance premiums, you've got a lot more money to pay for those urgent care visits, when they come up. I just think we need to be precise about the language. People aren't being denied care. They're being priced out of a heavily subsidized insurance product that, again, is designed as if everybody's already sick. And why are we treating that product as like it's the only morally acceptable option? There's a lot of us that just want affordable protection against the unexpected. I'm not sick today. I don't need all these guaranteed benefits. I just need something to, pay for the hospital bill if I have some horrible accident or I come down with, a horrible illness. That's all I need. Not everybody is chronically ill. I get there's a lot of those people. A lot of us don't have any chronic illnesses or they're easily managed. I have arthritis. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I go to see the rheumatologist every 6 months. It takes 15 minutes and the medication that I'm on costs maybe $20 a month. Maybe. It's a chronic condition, yes. Easily managed, absolutely. And I don't need insurance for that. I pay for all of those visits and all of that medicine out of pocket. You know how I have the money? Because I'm not spending $500 a month on insurance premiums. Yeah, it's pretty easy math. I'm coming out way ahead every year. And here's the other part. If I spent the $500 on the premiums, it wouldn't cover any of that stuff anyway. I would still be paying for it out of pocket because the deductible is $1 bazillion. Healthy people are never going to hit that deductible. And it ticks us off. Why is the value question just ignored? All right, I'm a rational person who decides it's not a good deal. But in the data that'll be presented on the news about this catastrophe, it was like, all of these people will lose coverage. Like, lose coverage? No, there's just a lot of people are just going to decide like this trash insurance isn't worth the money. It's not the same as losing coverage. It's somebody making a rational decision. I don't want this. So talk about the value. Talk about the utility of that product. That's the problem. It's not somebody losing coverage. And not all risk needs to be socialized to the same degree, okay? There are people that, yes, I would argue need some assistance or subsidies or whatever you want to call it. But not every one of these needs requires the socialized help. And so I did have this argument with somebody. Not argument. It wasn't an argument. It was a lively debate that at no point got to the level of argument. But this guy suggested to me, well, one of the great things about the Affordable Care Act was it, includes all of these preventative services that will hopefully lead to better outcomes and people living, longer, healthier lives. Because they're getting all these checkups and stuff. And, if you change that part of the system, you pull out all of these essential benefits, then the preventative and maintenance care gets skipped. And I don't know, I haven't seen a study on that. But I'm just going to give you my personal experience. I haven't had insurance for several years, and I absolutely do not skip on the preventative medicine. I go to my primary care doctor every, let's say, 12 to 15 16 months. I'm not doing it like clockwork. I'm a busy guy. But even if I had the insurance, the same thing would happen. I would still take the same 12 to 15, 16 months. But I go in and I get the visit done. Okay? I get the blood work done. Okay? I pay out of pocket for that. That costs more than the blood work for the rheumatologist. I try and do them at the same time because some of them are the same tests. So I pay for it twice. See, there's another rational consumer decision, right? It's my money, so I'm going to spend it wisely. If it was the insurance company's money, maybe I wouldn't. I'd just be like, I know I just did that blood work 8 weeks ago. I'm going to do it again because this doctor ordered it. Might as well. It's free. I'm not delaying screenings. I went and got the, what do they call it? Where they run the tube up your backside. I'm drawing a blank, but the screening for colon cancer. I did that. Absolutely. I don't want to be that guy who doesn't catch colon cancer because he didn't want to drink the goop or go through that procedure because it's unpleasant. I did it. Paid for it. Absolutely. I don't ignore symptoms when they pop up. I'm having an issue with my forearm. You know what? I'm not gonna go to like my primary care doctor. I'm gonna go to a physical therapist and be like, this ain't right. What should I be doing? What should I be stretching? What should I be doing? I stopped lifting a week or so ago because I don't want to aggravate it. I'm resting it. ChatGPT gave me a few stretches, but I probably should go see a physical therapist and get it fully checked out, right? And I'll do that, even though I don't have insurance. Crazy, right? I feel like I have incentives to stay healthy because I don't have insurance. So I can't just let this go. Yeah. But here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking for. What if we just separate these markets? Okay? What if you have one system, one market for guaranteed issue, okay? We're not excluding pre-existing conditions, okay? It's guaranteed issue, people with chronic illnesses, and all of those folks are in that program, right? And we agree we're going to fund that program so that people who can't afford coverage, because that would be expensive coverage, right? People that can't afford that, we have a social safety net to help those people, okay? And those that, have chronic conditions but can't afford it, they pay for it. They pay for their own stuff. And then we have a separate market that acknowledges some people want just risk protection, okay? I just need to know that I've got this catastrophic care or coverage rather in case, I get some horrible illness. I thought in my head, am I going to mention something out loud? But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give anybody a list. I'm not going to give the universe any ideas. But if I get some sort of horrible illness or I have some tragic accident, I've got coverage for that. And we're making trade-offs for affordability. And they're just two separate programs. And in that way, we are honestly, funding that program for those that are chronically ill and need help. And we're giving the people that just want that risk transfer at an affordable price some real options. What about that? What about that, Senator? What about that, Congressman? Again, I am not running for office, not at all interested in that. But I don't know, can ladies and gentlemen, can we just explore that idea as opposed to just throwing hundreds of billions of dollars at this system that seems like trash. I rarely hear anybody talk about it positively. So if we all, if a lot of us are just agreeing like this is a problem, let's give it a go. Let's talk about a real solution. I don't know. That's my take. All right. I think that's about all I have to say about that. Forrest Gump reference. Kids won't get it. Hey, I'll tell you what. If you know somebody that might be interested, forward this episode to them. If you like the podcast, leave us a rating or a review. Subscribe. Do all those sorts of things. And if you happen to be a licensed insurance producer or adjuster and you need insurance continuing education credit, check out our live webinars at bmfce.com. And the next podcast episode I will probably still be here in Panama. I've got 3 weeks left or so. I won't be back until well after the new year. But I will hope to have an episode for you again here in just a couple of weeks. All right. But Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.